I guess I'll take the lead since the first item on the agenda is an overview of the new structure. And yeah, I guess I'll just start. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, cool. So this new structure, what is it? How's it going to work? Why have we done it? And kind of some perspective timelines. So the whole point of the new structure is, Alchemist started as a community project. As things progressed, things got a bit closed, and we recognized that as an issue quite a while back, quite a few weeks ago. And the aim from this new structure, and also kind of based on our experience of working over these past months, is firstly to open back up, to hand kind of control back over to the community and kind of put much more kind of influence in their hands, and also to enable a kind of scalable and effective way of working. So we made an announcement about this a couple of weeks ago. We had some basic details. I'll just run over that again. I'll talk over some more kind of details and actual steps that will hopefully happen sooner rather than later. And then, if anyone has any questions, happy to answer those. And there's still quite a few other things on the agenda, like the mistX and other products is kind of Q&A. So this new structure basically starts with what we've called the Alchemist Council. The Alchemist Council is initially hopefully going to be a team of 5 people. And ultimately, the community is voting for those people to represent them. So it won't be a thing of, there will be community representation and control at the top level of Alchemist. And that's basically what, a community project is. So the council will then have under it 3 kind of departments under its kind of direct, control. The first one is called, or 4 departments maybe. The first one is community. That's basically focused on the community, growing it, empowering the community, getting them involved. Operations, and that's just about kind of day-to-day running of things and just, payments and accounting and all that kind of standard stuff that a business needs to do. And coordination is the third one. That's about how do we get new builders and new founders kind of integrated into our ecosystem? How do we get people kind of working together and collaborating to build new products? And the fourth one is kind of not so much a department, but kind of just incubation. And this is really the ultimate goal of what we see or hope Alchemist to be. And that is an incubator. So Alchemist is hopefully going to be much bigger than any single product. And that's not to say that, the current products aren't great, but, the crypto space moves so fast, and why limit yourselves, right? Why not why tie yourself to a particular way forward? And that's kind of, we get a lot of heat for the kind of the motto of the only plan is there is no plan. And I understand that kind of heat, but really that's what I would say, for me at least, what that means is, we can incubate, invest in, and become anything, because we're not just one product. We are a collection of products and a community which builds products. So that's kind of what the council and the core structure is intended to be. You'll notice I haven't actually mentioned any of the products in this structure, because that's kind of the Alchemist core. And we see products as incubated startups almost. So products will run through the incubator, right? And the council will have ultimate decision-making power over what gets funded, and how much, community kind of, potentially you could have community votes around what gets funded as well. But really, as the council are representatives of the community, they'll have kind of those decisions in their hands. And, all products will be considered effectively startups that are funded, aim to become revenue generating, and feed value back to the community. So in that sense, they are quite independent, but they're also not just completely kind of absolved of any and kind of all oversight. They're not kind of, they're only guaranteed funding for a certain period of time. So for example, we may say that each product that gets funded has guaranteed funding for 3 months, and that's the initial kind of period for them to kind of build an MVP and start to make something that is more substantial. And then there will be reviews every 3 months whether this product is, capable of becoming profitable, capable of maintaining itself, and ultimately all of that power and decision making will fall back to the council as representatives of the community. So that's the main kind of idea behind this structure. I'll just quickly shoot off some reasons why I think it works, and I'm actually quite a fan of it. But it gives products the ability to, make quick decisions, move in the direction that it makes sense for them, and really compete, because they don't have this kind of top heavy kind of, you have to get collective agreement from so many people around what you do. At the same time, they're able to much more easily interact with the community and kind of get feedback from the community, because they don't have to go through any sort of channels. Like as a product owner, someone funded by Alchemist, your ultimate kind of shareholders, so to speak, are Alchemists. So you can go and interact with them and talk to them, and kind of get their feedback on what you're doing. At the same time, it allows kind of what I'm going to call from now on Alchemist core to focus on this goal of gaining and attracting more developers, more builders, more founders, so that the ecosystem and kind of the Alchemist suite of products, so to speak, keeps growing and keeps expanding. So that's kind of the overview of the kind of the new structure. Now I'll just talk about some specifics, because transitioning to a new structure isn't something that can happen in a day and a night. But hopefully, we obviously need to get this happening. There's no reason to delay it, massively. So in terms of specifics, kind of we're hoping to start to formulate the council in 1 to 2 weeks, so really as soon as possible. We think every member of the council must be voted in by the community. The initial kind of makeup of the council, we think, as a transitionary kind of period, should have kind of maybe, so the council will be 5 people in total. Initially, 3 current seniors, out of all the seniors they can opt in, should be on the council, and 2 new community members that are not seniors at all. And the reason for that is it kind of gives a kind of a balance towards kind of, it's not kind of an immediate handover and a massive immediate shake-up. Everyone will be voted in, whether they're a senior or not. It's just, that's how we feel kind of the best transitionary makeup should be, with the ultimate goal that every single council member will eventually just be someone that's voted in, whether they're a senior or not. But just kind of to begin with, this is what we're proposing. As I said, the council will have ultimate power and control over all Alchemist funding and kind of the multi-sig, and they'll have the final decisions about incubation and what incubated projects are. When it comes to those core departments we spoke about, they will also appoint who leads them. So the council will basically hire and decide who leads those core departments and who kind of, runs those things. And during this period, as we said, it is a bit of a transitionary period. The seniors will ultimately be disbanded, but they will always be there for advice and guidance if it's requested and needed. So that's kind of how we see things transitioning. And as I said, we're hoping to formulate this council and start to execute on all of this in the next couple of weeks. In terms of just with these kind of 4 functions we spoke about, we're going to start actually working on them, just because there's no reason to hold that off. But when the new council comes in, they'll have the freedom to kind of shake things up. So initially, I think it was decided that Ethan will be leading on community front, Daniel will be leading on the operations front, and I'll be leading on the coordination front. And kind of me and Daniel will initially be working on incubation. But as I said, like when the new council comes in, they will have ultimate kind of power to shake things up. And this is just kind of a temporary time or a temporary kind of stewardship over these roles, just so that work doesn't stop, basically. In terms of kind of council members, when they're voted in, we haven't kind of decided or agreed on specifics, and it will be a process. And I think the community should have that, influence on that process. But We think that the council should be voted in for a limited time period, and then it gets voted again. Votes can then be repeated. And during that time period, so let's say the council will be around, we'll have votes on the council every 3 months or 6 months or whatever. During that time period, there should be kind of like a code of conduct, which every council member is expected to adhere to. And if they kind of break that code of conduct, then a revote can happen immediately. And that gives some flexibility around kind of if someone disappears, for example, it doesn't make sense for them to stay on the council until the next voting period. So that's kind of that's the new structure, and that's kind of our tentative timelines of how we want to start working towards this. Hopefully, this is just the first step with kind of opening up and being more communicative in general, and basically making Alchemist more of a community project than it has been in the past. I think I've covered everything. I'll just mention if anyone here on the stage currently thinks I've missed something, please cut in. Otherwise, we can either move on or I can take some questions. Okay, it appears I haven't missed anything. So after this, basically, we have mistX will then speak, and then the other two products will also speak. I'll stick around to answer questions, I think, but yeah, I'm done, guys. So, Don, do you want to take the mic?
Everyone, yeah, Don and I can give an update on mistX. As a lot of you are probably aware, there's been some information and events surfacing in the last week or so. And as I've been away with a newborn, Don has been doing a great job as filling in for me. So I'd like to give a big thanks to him. But so we'd like to kind of use this platform to, I guess, bring some clarity to mistX, the partnership with Flashbots and the recent events, and answer any questions that the community might have, and just kind of make it more clear the motivation behind decisions that were made, as well as just some information about mistX and the product and how it has evolved over time and kind of what got us to where we are now. So mistX has always been our goal has been to provide MEV protection for users and their transactions and give them the best trades possible. And this started with building a front end and a back end API that would manage transaction flow to Flashbots. And it has always been a goal for us to open up the backend API to service transactions that are not only from the mistX front end, but virtually any other service on mainnet and possibly other chains as well. So we had been working on opening up this API for quite some time before we had any talks with Flashbots, actually. And so it kind of fit naturally that when Flashbots approach us about building an RPC, that we're going to open up our API anyway. And it just is natural for them to use our API if they wanted to. So our motivation behind it was just natural, a natural evolution of our product. And I think this decision didn't come just from me. It was everybody on the team. We've been very joint in all of our decisions that have been made with mistX, and Nathan and Don can speak to that if they would like as well. But so when we made this agreement to work with Flashbots, or I guess it was more of an informal agreement, there was always I guess they could have decided to use another product instead of us. It was not going to be exclusive that we would always be the product that they are going to use. But the idea for us was that we could gain some transaction flow and we could eventually, execute back running or arbitrage on those transactions to gain some profits or in kickback to the users or whatever that may be. It was never fully structured of how exactly that would work, but the idea is to get traction, and then once we have traction, then figure out how to monetize. And unfortunately, in this scenario, the monetization wasn't reached, and Flashbots saw that this was working so well, the API, that they wanted it to be closer to the relay so it could be managed in a better way, quicker communication times between the relay and the API. I mean, this type of product makes sense to be very close to Flashbots. And it is not a clone or fork of the mistX API. It will work in a completely different way. But mistX was kind of a platform that proved that this type of API would work very well.
Hi everyone. So to second what Dyer has said, we always make our decision as a team. We are a small team. There is no such thing as a hierarchical organization. We are all discussing together and making decisions together. One point that I would like also to highlight is that whether they use the mistX API or not, eventually they will have realized that they wanted to build this on their software directly. And as soon as they did, our solution would have been out anyway. So that was a risk that we took, and that we initially did not realize, because we really believed that they will not go in this direction, and they didn't tell us they would go in this direction. But it's important to understand that whether they actually used our API with their RPC, which is what happened, or whether they chose to use somebody else's infrastructure, the outcome would have been the same for us. The API today would have not been relevant in terms of monetization and long-term strategy for us. Having said that, the API is still a product, a very viable product that we want to promote in some specific cases for partners, and that we will continue and keep using for our own DEX, as it's always been since day one. So that's for what has happened. I think Dyer has explained it extremely well. I'd like also to discuss about what's next. I don't have much to say here today on what's next. However, I have this to say: it's that we have drafted a roadmap for mistX V2. Some of you have heard about V2, and V2 is a reality. We're about to release a new version of mistX Text. I can tell you now that this is a major upgrade for the application. And this is going to set a new base to go further and develop new features and add more quickly and be more agile in developing new features and bringing the DEX to another type of services. Regarding the roadmap, I believe that today's call is the first of many. It's really great that everybody here realizes that we were not opened up enough to the community. And I think it's really great that we're taking action to correct this. So to be really factual here, regarding the roadmap, we have drafted a version, but we would like to welcome you to participate in finalizing the roadmap. So first of all, this is the first time we do this, so we're gonna try one way. If it doesn't work out, if you believe this is not the way it should be done, well, we can adapt and do it another way next time. But the way we had in mind, which seemed to be a potential successful way, is that we will share with you today a link where anyone can fill in the most important features they have in mind, and also suggest with a free text form features that they think will be a good idea to add in the DEX in the next months. So that's what we're going to do today. You're going to all have a link. We're going to share this on the Discord server shortly after the meeting. And we'll also organize a call, I believe on Tuesday, but I don't have the exact time yet. Please stay tuned in for the exact time and date. But definitely next week, we're going to organize a call and discuss the roadmap with all of you. And we're going to highlight the top ideas that were very interesting that you shared. So I said top ideas. It also depends on the number of ideas that we receive. If we receive 1,000 ideas, I don't think it would make sense to go through 1,000 ideas in a 1-hour talk. But if we receive only a few ideas or many are the same, then we can discuss about all the ideas that we've received. So as you can see, we're really trying to include you in the future process. The idea is that after this call and the discussion that we're going to have, we may update the roadmap together. And the objective of that exercise is to finalize the roadmap. And ideally, I would like this roadmap to be out by the end of next week. Out publicly and out as this is what we're going to do in the coming months. As you all know, the crypto space is a very fast-paced environment, and that means that we can't have roadmaps for the next 6 months, 1 year, for example. So we really need to focus our resources for the next few months, basically, and make sure that we know what we're doing. So this is it. Also, bear in mind that this is the first time that we're going to share the roadmap. We are sharing pretty much everything we're going to do. This is also a risky exercise. As you can understand, some of our competitors will have a look at this and be happy that we're sharing this. If we see that this has a positive outcome and everybody's happy about it, we'll continue and keep progressing this further. If we see that this has a negative outcome, we will discuss with you and see with you and find with you the best solution on building this, on finding a way to include the community, get your point of views, and still be able to not share everything to our competitors. So I think that's pretty much what we wanted to share with you. We welcome questions, I think, now. If anybody has questions around any of what has happened over the past week, and what questions about what we plan to do, or the roadmap, or anything.
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you, Nathan. Yeah.
I guess one thing, Sal touched very elegantly on the specifics of what we're planning to do with these changes, but we sort of have glossed over the motivation behind them. I guess that over the last few weeks, we felt that having this central point of decision making had been a little bit of a choke point for the Alchemist community. And when you're faced with something like that, I mean, the path forward is more transparency and more decentralization. Sorry, one second. So, I mean, this change will essentially remove the seniors as a bottleneck in any kind of future funding decisions, and we hope that it'll be a viable path. Hope that it'll be a viable path forward. So, coordination issues that we've been. So, I mean, there's always going to be road bumps when we make drastic this, but I hope that the community will bear with us and will see that the drive behind what we're doing is more transparency and more decentralization, and giving the community more of a say in the decisions that are being made on behalf of the community.
Thank you, Nathan. When it comes to questions, basically, you can have the request to speak. We have one request to speak at the moment. That's Cryptographic. So I'm going to invite Cryptographic to the stage. Then you can ask your question and direct it to whoever needs to answer. And yeah, we'll just go through them in order, I guess. So yeah.
Hi, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk. I just want to understand, why are we not calling a spade, and why are we insisting on this LARP of greater good and democratization and blah, blah, blah? Like, to be honest, as a community member, I kind of feel that maybe you guys are, with all due respect, maybe taking us for a little bit of a ride, you know? I prefer if, you know, as a project, if we could call a spade, yeah? We got basically moved to by Flashbots simply because they saw the monetization opportunity and they decided they wanted to keep that in-house. Whether you want to argue otherwise, there's no other motive apart from financial incentive. And I'm kind of getting really, really, really annoyed with this constant, trying to frame things as if, this is all rosy and nice. This is not a rosy or nice situation. We spent 3 months of community or 4 months of time and community funds building a free, charity ware. So I'd like to see an appropriate response. And I'm not saying this to shit on Flashbots, because I've always been a Flashbots advocate, on a personal level. I just think what happened is, it's a spade, call it a spade. They did us a dirty. Say it how it is. Stop, moving around and trying to beat around the bush, And I also, to be very, very frank, I don't understand how a team can have an informal agreement. What do you mean informal agreement? Like, are you guys being for real? Like, with all due respect, I don't mean to be rude, but you're telling me about informal agreement. That informal agreement was cost Alchemist community funds. So I'd love to know what's going to happen about that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here, brown-nosing and just accepting everything that you guys are saying. I'm going to pull you up on it, and I'm going to blast you lot about it. And I apologize if that may offend or upset some of you, because I respect every single one of you. However, these are questions which the community deserves an answer to, and I'm kind of, it's very tiring beating around the bush. It's evident we've got Flashbots members as part of our team. I just want to know what happened. I want the reality. Stop all this. Yeah, they just decided and it was going to happen anyway. If it was going to happen anyway, why did you waste our time doing it? That's my question, or several questions.
Yeah, I guess to address your comments about like using funds to pay for this development, I would say that we're already building this API to open our API to virtually be used by any third-party transactions service. So this wasn't built like for Flashbots, right? This was something that was built for Alchemist and mistX to be used by any third party, and Flashbots decided they wanted to use it. So it wasn't something where we set aside funds to be used for specific Flashbots development.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, if that's the case, why did we spend 3 months focusing solely on Flashbots and doing nothing for mistX DEX, which is now, I'd say, the losing DEX in the space, in all honesty? It pains me to say that as a holder from day one, but this is the reality. If we're going to compare mistX to any other DEX that provides, MEV protection, we're not really doing amazing, are we now, Dyer? And I mean that with all due respect.
V2 has been in the works for this whole time. So I mean, I guess that hasn't been completely seen by the community, because we've been having to do a build from the ground up. So we haven't been entirely focusing on this. On Flashbots.
And remember that we did work on the API in the meantime. But the API that we worked on, the updates that we've done, the additional features, the bug fixing, all of that time was used to provide a better service for our DEX first. We did spend some time, right, to open the API for us first, not for Flashbots, and Flashbots has been using it as a client. However, if I have to, I mean, this amount of time that we spent to open the API was not by far not
amazing.
The biggest.
That's amazing. I'd love to see our API integrated with other partners then, because as far as I was concerned, the response that I saw personally was, no, we're not going to do it because they're going to do it and we can't compete with Flashbots. We can't make an RPC and call it the cashback RPC because it's competing with Flashbots. Why are you so scared to compete with Flashbots? I don't understand. We're all here to democratize the space the same way they are. They want to democratize the space. Let's help them with that mission. We've already helped them with an API. So I see no blocking us wasting our efforts and our work. Why don't we take the RPC, monetize it, and provide, arbitrage opportunities for the retail user who wants to integrate it into their MetaMask? I don't see what the big kerfuffle is about that. And it seems to be constantly getting shut down, which then leads me to actually believe that there's something else going on in the background stopping us from even considering this point. Because it makes no sense if you say to me, we're going to do it, we can't do it because Flashbots will do it. Well, guess what? Eden used Flashbots. What did Flashbots do about it? Absolutely nothing. Why? Because they want to integrate into Eth's core layer, and they can't be seen to be, centralizing MEV. Which, to be very frank, before this, I never believed they would do that. But after this, I'm convinced that that's what they're doing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to seem argumentative or shouting. It's just because I'm actually driving and it's quite loud where I am. But it's I believe these are valid points and valid questions that need to be answered. And fobbing us off with kind of, a basic answer it's not really gonna slide.
We had the idea, of course, of building the RPC ourselves and open competition on that, right? And we did, and I was even myself an advocate of that idea. I was pushing for it, and then we gave it a bit more thought, and then we put the pros and cons side by side, and we realized that this was quite a short-sighted plan. Why? Because yes, we could monetize immediately on that, but for how long? How many resources? How much cost this is gonna cost us? How many resources are we going to allocate to that, to build it and maintain it, compared to how long is it going to run before Flashbots enable this themselves?
I guess the other thing to add to that is, does it make sense to position ourselves as a competitor to Flashbots? All emotions aside, I can see that I can totally empathize with why you would be pissed off about this. But like, putting all emotion aside, is it a productive move for Alchemist to position themselves as a head-to-head competitor to Flashbots? It would probably require...
Well, with all due respect, Nathan, is it a productive move for Alchemist to be brown-nosing Flashbots for the last 3 months? Because I don't feel like that's productive whatsoever. We've changed the narrative away from Crucible and Copper, and the narrative for the past 6 months now has solely been Flashbots, MEV, Uniswap integration. We've seen... Look, I don't want to kick you guys when you're down, so I'm not going to say what we've seen and what we haven't seen from team members. All I'm going to say is that this is what you guys have now made the narrative for the past 6 months. This has become the narrative now. This is what people think when they think about Alchemist. And I'm sorry, it's not about, is it productive to compete with Flashbots? It would have been productive to have a signed agreement in place before making, doing something for charity. Or to at least have managed the expectation correctly from the beginning, because this is entirely... You know what, man? I don't want to feel like I'm kicking you guys when you're down. But all I'm going to say is you guys just handled it wrong. I hope whatever you guys are building will support you, but I hope you don't make the same mistakes. Honestly, I don't want to feel like I'm giving you an even worse, a hard time. But the truth is, there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I think there's a lot of stuff that's yet to be revealed.
I really believe that no one here, including you or anyone, should be driven any conspiracy theories, because that...
I don't think there's conspiracy theories, man. I wouldn't call it conspiracies. I wouldn't call it conspiracy theories, man.
I mean, it's as simple as what we described it. We believed. I'm telling you, I was pushing for this. Look.
It's let me just, with all due respect, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Yeah, how many team members of Flashbots are part of Alchemist?
Well, that's a really important consideration, right? Because if a conflict of interest is created, then those team members who have signed agreements with Flashbots would have to immediately leave Alchemist. They would have no choice but to do that.
No problemo whatsoever. No problemo. You're saying that like that's a problem. It's not a problem. Honestly, it's not, because at the end of the day, look at what happened in the situation. We're the ones who are down. Right? Flashbots are happy, they're laughing, they're having a good time, aren't they? We're the ones who are suffering right now, aren't we? I don't see anybody else suffering with us. I don't see anybody else losing millions of dollars like I am.
Yeah, cryptographic. I think you've got some really really good points and concerns in the situation. I honestly I'm sorry to jump in here. I don't think that the direction of that conversation becomes like very productive for what we're trying to achieve and the direction that we're trying to go as a project.
Look, I'm just going to clarify something without interrupting you, yeah? I'm fully supportive of whatever direction you guys take because I love this project and I love this team and I believe it was pure naivety. I think you guys were just very naive and it was a mistake. I don't think there was intentional ill will or negative intent. I don't think anyone got paid. That's not the narrative I'm pushing, right? My only concern is how do we stop ourselves ever being in this situation again? The reason why that's a concern is I've seen some team members talk about potentially working with Flashbots in the future. I'm sorry, but fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's my perspective. I support Don, I'll support Dyer, Nathan, all of you guys on what you guys are building. I'm sure you'll come up with something amazing and great. And to be honest, I think we will recover from this. I just don't want to see it happen again because at the end of the day, it's community funds that are on the line. So that's the reality. It's the holders who get hurt.
So the intentions behind mistX's working alongside with Flashbots has always been positive and with the hopes that monetization can come out of that. There are a series of reasons which have been shared before in the article and to the community, which makes it no longer viable to follow like a revenue path. And neither is it like an option which is available either. So that particular side of the story gives us a lot of experience in that if we are intending to go down a particular path, then we have to ensure that what we're doing is definitely viable in that direction and to secure that that intention as well. So I think there is a lot learned by the team and the project about how we can do things moving forward, whether we are forming, partnerships or collaborations. We will ensure that we secure the community's interests first before, deciding to continue with, ongoing developments or joining hands with any other organization, irrespective of if that's Flashbots or any outside project in the crypto space. We have to ensure that what we're doing is is going to end with a good result, which we're hoping to achieve, and make sure that we can maintain that vision. So us having this experience, okay, although it has been unfortunately if you wanted to put it in that way that you said earlier, potentially a costly experience to everyone involved. It does prevent us from entering into this kind of situation again in the future. We do accept that we have been to some degree naive in having certain expectations which we hadn't formalized, but this is definitely going to strengthen our position in the move forward and make sure that things go and that there's a good understanding and a very clear cut agreement in what we're trying to achieve. So again, I mean, you have some really, really valid points, and I think they're excellent. And I understand your motivation behind, the things that, that you've brought forward today. We also, from our side as well, have entirely the interest to make sure that we are securing everything that we're working on moving forward and doing everything in the interest of the community and the project as well.
Yeah, and
all we're asking for, Joe, all we're asking for is, for this not to happen again. People are upset. I'm, as you can probably tell, quite upset over the situation. It is the way it is. We'll support you guys in doing whatever it is you guys are doing. We just we all want this project to succeed. Nobody wants to see it fail. Nobody wants to see it, be put in that situation ever again or bullied by a larger project ever again. Yeah, that's my point.
I will just speak on behalf of the seniors and the people involved as builders. A lot of us here have given up on our normal day-to-day jobs, and we've fully committed to this project. And, we are staking our reputation and other aspects of our own daily lives and stuff like that to ensure the success of Alchemist. So we're completely in alignment with you, and Cryptographic, I think, and I can say this openly in front of everyone, you've been a great credit to our project. I've seen you do a lot of contribution for helping us form relationships with other projects, and we're very grateful, and I do respect you very much for everything that you've done for us. But we are all on the same side. I do think that, although it might have felt in that particular situation that that we aren't, but we, I can honestly say that we are all on the same side, and we really want to make this into such a great thing for everyone. So it's not, this project has been designed in a way that it's a community project, and it returns value to everyone who's getting, actively involved in, creating LP with the project and getting a share of those revenues. There's not really many projects like this in the space, and I do feel like what we're trying to achieve is a very honest and pure kind of intentions. And I hope that you understand that, and everyone else here can also understand that we're also trying to do something really, really great. And sometimes things just don't work out, but we want to make sure and ensure in the future that things will go the right direction in everyone's interest, and we make sure that we secure our interest at the same time. And sorry, Nathan, I know I cut you off a few times, but if you wanted to jump in now.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to echo some of what you said, and also say that cryptographic, you talked about potentially us being naive, and I agree with you that I feel that is the case. I mean, we've sort of learnt, we've been in a DAO structure, and we've learnt there's reasons why some of these traditional business agreements exist, and they actually serve a useful purpose. That has been a painful learning lesson for the team and for the community, and we will ensure that that doesn't happen again.
Appreciate that, Nathan and Joe and the rest of the team. Thank you very much, and thanks for giving me the podium to speak and to speak very clearly as well. Look, as for my part anyway, I'll support you guys as much as I can. I love the community and the project. I do believe it was just pure naivety. I don't think there was anything else to it, and I hope we can all learn from this and use this to improve and strengthen our position as a project.
If I may add as well, I believe that concretely, right, what Nathan said is a solution to what happened, but also this is the reason why we want to open a roadmap. And when we are going to discuss the roadmap, we are also going to discuss monetization and how each plan can be profitable for everyone, especially the community. So I think this is a solution as well. We will agree that this is the right next step to do, that we will focus our resources on that next step, and this milestone will bring more usage, or will bring more profit in the near term for the community.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate all your feedback, Cryptographic, and it's a lesson learned for us. There definitely was some naivety in those decisions and excitement around being a Flashbots partner, and assumed that we wouldn't always be a Flashbots partner, but didn't think that it would be happen so soon. And we were notified very abruptly. So yeah, I agree with you. A written agreement or other forms of agreements could have been in place for that not to happen, but a lesson learned.
Well, if that's all, we have SJ, who's raised his requesting to speak now. So, Cryptographic, if you have anything to add, do you want to add it now, or you can exit the stage and I'll add SJ?
No, I have nothing to say, to be honest. I'll speak on the next topics a little bit later. But thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity, guys. And again, hope nobody took it personally or took any offense. I'm just, look, I've got to say it how it is. You know what I mean? But we're here to support you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
If you don't mind just exiting the stage, and then we can allow SJ to speak. SJ, do you want to go ahead with your question?
I don't seem to be able to hear SJ. Is that just myself? Or?
I can't hear it either.
SJ, do you want to try and mute yourself and maybe unmute yourself again?
We can't hear it still. I mean, if you have a question, you can type it out in the Alchemy channel and I can just read it out or something. Or if you want to try and sort out your audio.
If you're on your phone, that might also be problematic. Sometimes with these large calls, you kind of have to use the computer.
So he says he'll type it in the Alchemy channel. So I'll just read the question.
While the question is being typed, I'd like to share one more thing, actually. I'd like to share that we need to remember also that we are all very, very small team here. We don't have a lot of people on hand. And so the amount of work that we can cover is limited to the number of hands that we have. If I speak, for example, for the mistX team, Nathan has been writing the smart contract. Dyer has been partially developing and acting as PM, which and PM is a full-time job, so it takes a lot of time from him. So if you look at the mistX teams, we are basically 3 full-time developers, and building all those things has taken away our attention from some of the other things that we could have done better. And I'm especially thinking about marketing, for example. I've seen a lot of people complaining or saying that we were not good at marketing, and that's true. We're not great at marketing. And we have somebody who joined very recently called Hazelnut, and he's done a great job so far since he's joined, but he's joined very recently. So he's putting out a new marketing strategy, and he would like to include the community as well about that. So we welcome you to really participate in the marketing strategy. And anyone of you who believe can bring really good ideas and skill sets is very welcome to participate and help in that sense.
Okay, SJ's finished typing. I'll treat it as it is. Understand some of you guys are doing this full time and have left jobs in real life. I also realized some of brought into the Mist LBP and got hundreds of thousands of tokens for a few ETH. Also, the LBP was hardly advertised or heard about at the time. At the same time, ETH DeFi is open transparent. So it's pretty obvious that many team members are relentlessly dumping Mist tokens. Given your guys' commitment and etc. to the project, where do we draw the line on this, and what guarantees do we have you are not dumping with insider news?
I guess one thing that's important to bring up is that for a lot of people in this project, the tokens are their salary, quit their regular jobs, and are working just for Alchemist and getting paid in Mist. So, I mean, there's always going to be team members selling for the purposes of paying their bills. That said, when we pay people in Mist, I do think that they should have the freedom to sell whenever they want, to buy whenever they want. I mean, I don't think as an organization we should police the actions of people that we're paying Mist to, just like we shouldn't police community members. If a large community member wants to sell all their tokens, okay, like they have the right to do that. It's decentralized and it's permissionless. I just would always want to be very careful in policing what people can do with tokens that we pay them.
I would like to add that the LBP for Alchemist happened very, very early on, and this was a community project. So in fact, no one really existed in the project except for Stefan at the time. And subsequently, the people who were involved in the LBP, some of those people wanted to, contribute to the community. And they done so in a community capacity, and this is like a truly formed community project to that degree. So like I can't speak for to be honest with you, I don't really have the information that you've provided to signify like if there was anyone in particular who's been doing this within the project or anything like that, but we don't have, so that, you know, even with the new formation and of how budgets are done and everything, that there are no particular teams that have funds of Mist or who are able to, like, hedge funds which they would dump on the community or anything like that. Like, everything comes from inflation. For everything that we do is funded by the inflation that's created every fortnight. Right now there's been a new structure, so rather than, you know, team members receiving a stipend directly through the multi-sig, inflation is paid into a teamed you know, team budgets or into team multi-sigs, and, you know, they pay all their expenses from that, whether it's, you know, team members or services or anything that's related to the project that they run. And from those expenses, even, you know, with the budgets that the teams receive, it's a significant cut to what they are also used to receiving. So, you know, there's hardly anything that's left over from that, and even like to be able to hedge that, you know, the teams haven't really been able to save very much value in there. So, you know, the project is, you know, very, very much in alignment with the community in that respect. But if there are LBP holders who have bought in prior to really the inception of the project, and participation from, you know, as I said, it was really just a community project where people came together. I do also believe that, you know, they do have a right to sell, but, you know, I don't think there should be maybe a misunderstanding of thinking that, you know, particularly as teams or team members who are doing so. I don't believe that's the case. But I do understand that there are concerns about, you know, people who are involved as developers or, you know, as PMs and what have you in the project who do receive a stipend. And I do think there's been some, you know, some very useful ideas which have been put forward, even potentially towards a vested idea. I do think, like, you know, some proposals for that, and potentially maybe some further thought internally, and even if, you know, it was an idea to bring this to a vote, you know, it's definitely things that can be considered if, you know, if the community felt that this would be a good way to protect their interest. But bear in mind, you know, the stipends that everyone receives, and, you know, the market cap of the coin and what have you. I personally, you know, don't believe that it creates enough selling pressure to effectively, you know, cause any damage to, you know, community value or anything like that. And as Nathan said, you know, generally people receive this income to spend it on their personal, you know, expenses and what have you. But if it is something of interest to the community, I don't think that's something that we would not be willing to consider. It's definitely something that we can be open-minded to and potentially approach.
Okay, so SJ says those are my final two questions above. Sorry, yeah, let me just read them out. The first one is, why was Sal removed from the multisig? I'll comment on that. I've been on the multisig since the beginning of the project, and recently, as we moved to this new structure, there was the management of payments. That's not in the new structure. That's not a role that I will have as being in charge of coordination. That's a role that operations will have, how to manage payments. And so I wasn't actually removed from the multisig. I was just swapped with Daniel, who will be leading operations from now. And that gives him more flexibility to actually do the work he's supposed to do. So that's it was actually something I brought up. No one asked me to leave the multisig. I suggested that if Daniel is going to be in charge of operations, that includes managing payments, then it makes sense for him to be on the multisig. And with a multisig, I don't think having too many people on a multisig makes sense, because if you have a 3 out of X number voting, then, you know, it shouldn't be too many people. Otherwise, any group of 3 people could just get together and vote. So I suggested that I swap myself out for Daniel. The second question, SJ, is in response to a comment that Cryptographic put, which is, we as a community shouldn't be asked to trust a multi-sig member who's dropped his entire stack. And you asked us to comment on this as well. I can comment from my perspective. I'll say that with this new structure and the council kind of being voted on by the community, I think guys, correct me if I'm wrong, the other seniors, but basically everyone on the council will effectively be the multi-sig, as far as I understand, and that should mean that if you guys feel someone doesn't deserve to be there, then I guess the answer would be just not to vote for them to be on the council. But that's all I can say in that regard. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything before we bring on the next question.
Yeah, just to sort of add on to what you were saying, I think the council will sort of make up, I guess, a majority of the multi-sig, but there may need to be, 1 or 2 people on there. For example, if someone is running operations, say that's myself, or say someone else takes my place, then even if they're not on the council, they might still need access to the multi-sig in order just to initiate transactions and for the sake of keeping everything running smoothly. But yeah, if there's any concerns about any specific people who are on the multi-sig, if everyone doesn't want me to be on the multi-sig for some reason, raise the issue. We can put it to a vote, whether that be through the council or through the just general community channels. Bring it up and we can do something about it. It's a community-driven project, so we want to listen to the concerns of the community wherever we can.
Okay. I don't. Sorry, someone's tagged me in the Alchemy channel. So SJ has commented there saying, I think that's the whole point. We're raising this issue regarding the dump still in multi-sig. As I said, guys, these votes are going to be happening in the next 2 weeks or so. So yeah, that's what I would say. SJ, if you have no more questions, would you mind leaving the stage and we can invite the next kind of person on? SJ, would you mind leaving the stage?
I think we can
Okay.
have multiple people on stage too.
We can, but I just don't know lose track of it.
Oh yeah.
So Cryptographic is asking to speak again, so I'm going to invite you to the stage to ask your question.
Cryptographic, I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear him?
No.
No. I would suggest to try and mute yourself and unmute. If that doesn't work, then you'll have to probably leave and rejoin. In the meantime, is there anyone else who wanted to also ask any questions or even give some feedback given the situation? I think it's a good opportunity for you guys to really chime in here, and it would be great to have questions from other people as well who may have some thoughts and some suggestions for us in moving forward.
Yeah, I'll just say, go on, Ray, sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure what's going on with this people invited to stage not being able to speak. Maybe we can try dropping Cryptographic and inviting him again. It seems like it's a Discord thing rather than a user thing.
Cool. So I'll push Cryptographic back to audience, and then I'll ask him to raise his hand again. Oh, there's too many people. I can't find him. Can anyone find him in the list?
So I think it's okay. There it is. Yeah. So we'll invite Cryptographic, and if it doesn't work, then we can just take the question typed as well.
Yeah, guys, can you guys hear me perfectly fine now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting.
We can hear you now.
Uh-huh.
We can hear you, but it doesn't seem. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know how far you heard, but I just want to understand something. You're asking us to seriously trust, that we're going to have this douchebag called Ethan on the multi-sig after he had the audacity to come in and disrespect community members straight up, dump his tokens straight up. Evidence has been provided. No. Let me finish.
No
Please don't.
personal attack.
Please don't try and.
Yeah.
No. Listen, stop with the aloof attitude towards us. I'm sorry, but I've had enough of it because you guys already messed up once. So let me finish, yeah? Listen, I say this as somebody who supports you. So let me finish saying what I've got to say, yeah? You might not like me calling him a douchebag, well then tell the douchebag not to disrespect community members in the first place, because I didn't see any of you guys talking when he was being extremely rude and attacking my personal character for no reason, and anybody else who doesn't, follow his narrative, right? I didn't hear any of you guys opening your mouths, to be honest, or I didn't see any of you guys say anything, so don't try and stop me now, please, with all due respect, yeah? Point number 2. This same guy comes in, speaks to the community as if we're some idiots, right? Giving us this attitude of vote me out, vote me out, vote me out. What planet are you guys on? Second point, you're talking about multisig. Where's Mackie? I haven't heard from Mackie in a year. Why is he on multisig? Who the fuck is Brandon?
Okay, all right. Please don't swear, Cryptographic.
Okay, I apologize for swearing, but who on earth is Brandon? And where is Brandon?
Brandon is from Ampleforth, and we do have a good relationship with Brandon from Ampleforth.
Amazing. Why is he on Alchemist as multisig? And what has he done, or what has he contributed for Alchemist? Look, the reason why I'm bringing these points on board is, again, I'm not trying to give you guys a hard time. I'm just, I'm a real person, and I'm just going to say things how it is, yeah? You can't seriously expect me to trust a community, somebody to lead the community, right, whilst we're setting up our council, yeah, who behaves in the manner he behaved. The evidence is all there. It's all been posted. You've seen it all. The chain don't lie, okay? Forget whether I like the guy or I don't like the guy. I don't, straight up. But the chain doesn't lie. Check what's been posted, and then don't just leave it. Just don't come back. Oh, no, we have to trust him. We can't do this and we can't do that and we can't do this, and like, please, I beg you guys, seriously, it's a community-led project. You're allowing multi-sig members to disrespect the community. That's what you're allowing.
If you don't mind, can I'll just comment. So in regards to the multi-sig initially being set up, that was set up by Stefan, and there was a vote back then. Some members were just added, others were kind of voted on by the community. I think in the interests of kind of, just being neutral, if the community really doesn't want him there, then we will be pushing super hard to get this council vote out ASAP. And, I think the fairest way to do this is a community vote. If you guys feel super strongly, all the power is in your hands. That's
it's not about feeling super strongly. It's about certain actions that took place that have there's no other look, I don't want to throw accusations around, but what I'm going to say is there's only one conclusion. So I would appreciate our intelligence not being insulted, yeah, and further to add insult to injury, or it's like, oh, hold on, vote me out. You don't like me, vote me out. I had a problem with the seniors, so that's why I dumped. Okay, you want me to trust the multi-sig who every time he has a little bitch fit is going to dump his tokens on the community?
Let's try and keep.
Are you for real?
Yeah. So just to address the situation there. So we have been having this really big change up in our structure, and it doesn't mean that seniors as a majority agree with the change in structure. Obviously as a majority we do, but it doesn't mean that every single one of us has agreed with that. And ultimately, through disagreement, sometimes some people feel that they are not included in a process, or things haven't gone in the direction that they wanted to. I think this is a very natural thing that can occur, and working with people and being in an organization as we are, effectively the way that we are with a lot of people involved in Alchemist. There will be times where people don't agree, and fallout can happen. And as seniors, we do represent Alchemist, and we should always remain professional.
No, Yeah, well, listen, all I'm going to say is that professional for a multi-sig member to come in airing the seniors' dirty laundry in a public Telegram chat, yesterday and the day before on 2 separate occasions. Because guess what? It wasn't me or any other community members. It wasn't me or any other community members who caused any sort of scene with this individual. They took it upon themselves to come and do that. So I'm sorry. I know you guys, maybe the community doesn't want to hear this. This isn't the best thing to say in front of other investors, but yeah, it's the reality, mate. And I'm going to say it how it is.
I think there's 2 things that's sort of like really important here. Firstly, if the community isn't happy with someone on the council or a senior, I believe 100% that the community should have a very quick and very easy way to remove that person.
Why don't we do it? Because this person arrogantly wants to vote himself. So let's do it then. I said, let's do it. Why is it? So, I didn't see any seniors respond. I didn't see anybody respond. Everybody kept quiet as usual.
Internally, we have had discussions about, and we've even put together, I think Daniel's put it together, a code of conduct about what is appropriate in terms of discourse, how personal we can be. And
okay, man.
There will be...
Fair enough. That's a good step, but it's a little bit, too little too late since, that. When was the code of conduct put together, actually? That's an interesting question. When was it
just to clarify, we haven't actually put it together yet. We agreed that we were going to start building it, and it's being started.
Okay, fair enough. Because what would be even worse is if you did put it together and he still came out and did what he did or said what he said. And even if you don't want to frame it as insider trading or anything negative in that regard, his actions portray. If he's got an issue with other seniors and he's dumping all his tokens, do I really, as a community now, as somebody who holds a lot of money worth of mist, do I want a doofus like that, on the project who's going to get emotional and because he's upset and somebody, didn't, we hurt his feelings, he's going to dump his tokens? Are you being like,
I think
that should be in the minutes from this meeting. Put that vote together.
I think the council voters are top priority, but I think it just makes sense to do it all anyway, rather than specifying one person today and then having it over a week later. Or 10 days later.
Anyway, but get rid of this guy. That's what I'm going to say. Because end of the day, and I'm sorry, you can vote with the community and you can ask. Yeah, he wants it himself. So why don't we do it?
Well, what I'd say is he's just one member of the multi-sig, and he can't take any individual action if people don't necessarily feel confident in him. And
he shouldn't be in a position of trust. He shouldn't be privy to private information following the actions that he took, regardless of anything. He shouldn't. I'm sorry, but somebody who can do that shouldn't be anywhere near private information that others are not, the other community or other people don't have. Because you know what? I've tracked certain wallets for over a year, since the project's launched, really. And if we want to, go down that road, I'm happy to do that. More than happy to do that.
So I think Nathan and Sal have given some pretty good forwarding actions. I think obviously I don't want to comment on anyone's how they've presented themselves or anything like that, but I would say that everyone who's at least everyone who's in this call, we have a very strong alignment to Alchemist, and we try to conduct ourselves in a way that represents Alchemist and not our own personal interests either. So I do understand that you have some concerns. If we consider that we're a community project and we're working towards a DAO structure, then consensus is a very important thing. And if people wanted to vote against, even for myself to leave the project, or anyone else who's in the project to leave, I think that's a very fair thing, and people should be able to join together. I know that you're saying that you would like a specific member to leave the project.
Joey, I don't want a specific member. I don't want a specific member. But what I'd like to point out is you've got 3 members on there who are contributing nothing, or they're bad actors. One of those, the bad actor is the person that I named already, this Ethan dude or whatever his name is. The second person, Mackie, I've not seen this. Okay, you're close with him, yeah, sushi swap, blah, 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 blah. I haven't really seen anything from him. This is the reality. If you're not contributing, keep it moving. It's that simple. This other Brandon dude from Ampleforth, I don't understand what's Ampleforth doing for Alchemist? What's he doing for Alchemist? Is he doing anything for us? Because I haven't seen it.
Yes,
maybe he has, and it's not open, and us as a community aren't able to see it. Maybe.
Yeah, so with this restructure, there's going to be a lot of cleanup to certain things. I can't specifically comment on the multi-sig because I haven't involved myself in that discussion. I don't know exactly what the idea is behind that, but Sal did mention earlier with the idea of the structure that potentially the council members would be, signing the multi-sig, for example, or what have you. So like you have to remember that this started as a community project, and we've got very far with what we've developed and the community that we've grown around us, which is really, really amazing thing, and we thank everyone for the support in that. But now we're trying to remember those core values, but also to give value to Alchemist structure by improving what we haven't been able to, it wasn't a project which someone developed a vision of how it should be structured and started it in that way, but it's evolving over time. So we're continuously trying to improve these things, and we're trying to obviously attract through this structure as well other projects and founders to be involved with us. So I absolutely hear you. These concerns should be addressed, and in order for us to progress as a project with an understanding that we want to attract people to us to build within us and to gain our support and to be able to grow in this fashion as an incubator and as a fractal and what have you, that there is that expectation from those people as well that these things should be quite tip top in the way that
I respect that, but you're not attracting nobody with a doofus on your multi-sig.
Sorry, go on, Nathan.
One thing I want to say is I hear your frustration, but I strongly feel that anything that we do to address conduct and behavior, even if it shouldn't be targeted at one person, it should be something broad that applies to everyone. I think, the seniors themselves disagree quite a lot on the seniors themselves disagree a lot on a lot of different things. We have discussions that where certain seniors are really passionate about one thing and others are really passionate about another thing, and we don't always ultimately agree. But I agree with you that there's there's a professional line that should never be crossed. And I mean, with a very informal structure, we've never formalized up till now where that line lies. But we need to formalize it. I just don't think that targeting a particular person is helpful. I think it should just be something that everyone.
I'm not targeting a particular person. A particular person just took it upon that. I haven't seen you, Nathan, speaking to saying anything in Discord or Telegram. I haven't seen anybody else saying anything negative towards any community member on Discord or Telegram. I've only seen one doofus doing it, and I'm gonna call him out. So I'm sorry. I'm not specifically targeting anybody, but I'm targeting I'm speaking about the person who took it upon themselves to take those actions, which is reasonable. So you can't frame it as if it's some sort of vendetta or targeted witch hunt against one guy. We've got a multi-sig guy who dumped all his tokens on us, costing us all money. And you're expecting me to take this answer and be like, yeah, cool, all right, man, nice one, dude. Nah, man, come on, man.
What we're saying is, I'll just say one thing. I mean, there will be a vote regardless. So I think it's just timing, and it makes sense to run the vote on everyone.
Please weigh it by the amount of tokens people will hold. Thank you.
Daniel, did you want to say something?
That is probably how we should weight a vote. I'd agree with you there.
I'm down. He's already out.
We've really we hear your concerns and we definitely appreciate you raising them. And I think we've got some solid next steps here. I mean, we're going to this new structure. There's going to be a vote. There's going to be a code of conduct, and we're sort of accelerating towards getting these things out as quickly as possible. So I think we're really taking action here, and we do appreciate you raising these concerns.
Great. Thank you very much. And again, I apologize. I'm a very blunt person, so I'll just say it as it is. But thank you very much for your time. And I don't mean to offend any of you guys anyway. I only meant to offend that doofus. Thank you.
No, thank you. We appreciate the passion.
Thanks. Unless there's anything else, if you wouldn't mind leaving the stage, and there's someone, MCPT, you have asked to speak, so I'll be inviting you to ask your question. Did that work? Invite sent. So he's been invited, but he hasn't accepted yet.
Yeah, MCPT, you have to actually accept the invite to go onto the stage. And everyone else who's here, feel free to jump on and ask your questions. Like I said earlier, it'd be great to have more questions from other members in the community as well.
And if anybody has any mistX specific questions, I do have to leave in like 5 minutes. My wife got like zero sleep, and the newborn is calling, so I need to help her out.
Well, it looks like we have a request to speak in the queue.
Yeah, I've sent an invite to them, but they need to actually accept that invite, and they haven't.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see that.
So yeah.
Thanks.
If you're having technical difficulties, MCPT, maybe put your question in the Alchemy channel, and we'll try and pick it up and bring it on. I think we've got another person who wants to speak now. I can't.
Yeah,
really
admin request. We'll be inviting you now. You have to accept the invite.
I hope it's not a Discord issue. It seems that we're having a lot of Discord issues recently. Oh, welcome. You have to unmute yourself if you want to speak.
Yeah, hi. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. So there's one thing that is not really clear to me. I'm following up with the project since March, and it has been always that the goal step. So Stefan was the head of Alchemist to us community, but who is it now? So we don't really see him anywhere, and he's not here right now. So I would like to know more about it. And the question is that who is actually leading Alchemist? So for me, it's like you have ideas, you put everything in a basket, and you just pick some out of it and create it, develop it. But is there a way? Is there something you are following? Is there a lead you are following here?
So I'm happy to answer this one. So Stefan is continuously contributing to Alchemist and sharing his ideas and giving us a great direction towards creating great things, whether it's within mistX, Copper, or Crucible, or for other things in the community. I would say that Alchemist as a project, we don't have a specific leader. Although Stefan is our founder, and we do greatly respect everything that he all the ideas that he has and the things that he brings to Alchemist as well, and the things that he's also worked on in Alchemist to develop. We more trying to operate as a DAO structure, which kind of empowers a wider group of people to make decisions and to help form the path for establishing. I mean, so as we're establishing this restructure, we're trying to obviously empower the community as well to be involved in the decision-making processes and what have you. So yeah, I wouldn't say that we rely on a single person as a leader. We rely on each other to give strong direction in that sense. And Stefan is part, or the Go Step is part of the seniors. And as I said, like, oh, hey, Stefan.
I think about issue with the sound.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to answer the question. And yeah, thanks, Joe, for tackling it as well. Yeah, I can touch a bit about my involvement. I think I'm fundamentally a builder, and that's sort of why I got excited about the start of this project, is to create a community of people that are focused on building. And I've tried to limit my role to that as well within this community. In many ways, I sort of created this as something that I saw was lacking for myself, right? Like a place where I could just go and contribute, focus on the products, focus on the engineering, focus on like novel ideas without needing to worry about like all the overhead that comes along with it, right? The business aspects like managing investors, etc. So I've been very deliberate to try to make sure that my role remains that. So I'm definitely still part of the community. I'm still contributing to it, but I do want to stay sort of outside of the politics and the community management aspects of the DAO.
Thanks for clarifying. Actually, not having a leader explains some of the concerns from cryptographic as well. I hope not only to me. Then there are some other questions I like to ask. I used to be involved for a very short time in the marketing team, and just wanted to ask if you are restructuring Alchemist, how does it what does it mean for the marketing team? Why is the marketing team is not represented here right now? And and if the marketing is going to be holistic still, so for every product, or like you just said, that every product is going to be a startup on its own. Will there be a marketing departure for every department, for every single product, or how you are going to do that?
I can take this one. So I'll just comment. The new structure is also kind of like an experiment, and it is open to being developed. Like the council does have ultimate kind of control, and the community has ultimate control. But with this initial format, we think that each product should act as a separate startup, and that does mean having its own marketing and marketer, and that gives it a lot more flexibility. Having said that, Alchemist itself, if you think of Alchemist as the incubator, we do have this community department. They will, their role is not just community, it's also marketing. And we also have this coordination department. And really, I think one of the potentially powerful things that Alchemist is going to have, at least I hope internally, is an internal network of professionals. So all of these marketers from each of the products and the Alchemist's community marketing people will all be in touch, so they can collaborate and coordinate without having to necessarily get kind of everyone's permission for each little question, which slows things down. So that's how I see it working personally. The Alchemist incubator will be there to facilitate, empower, and enable all of the independent products, and also support them with their marketing and provide kind of advice, whilst also giving them the flexibility to run their own marketing. And all of these marketers and even developers and other professions that are employed will all be able to network and support each other. So it doesn't mean that we're not working together. It just means that we each have independence whilst also trying to collaborate where possible. So I hope that answers the question.
Partly, yes, but the question remains is that what I don't understand is who is taking responsibility for bad decisions. Who is going to speak up for making a bad decision, because it's like everybody is doing his best for the whole project, but there is not one taking responsibility for one decision or another.
Do you mean so each marketing kind of who is responsible for that?
Not only, but regarding the whole project.
So what I'd say is, under the new structure, the council will have ultimate responsibility for all of Alchemist as an incubator roles, and each product will have its own accountability for its decisions. So if, for example, a product does a massive mess up and it's just not profitable, the council can vote to stop funding them, and they would just not be kind of, they can get involved and support them, and also just stop funding them if the community feels that's the best way forward. So there are real consequences to each and accountability for each section of Alchemist, and even the council itself can be voted out. So that's kind of how it would work for Alchemist and its incubation and its general strategy. You'll have the council and all of the departments underneath the council. And for each product will be responsible for its own kind of decisions. And how that accountability works is, products aren't necessarily going to keep receiving funding forever. They have to justify that funding every X period, And for the council, how accountability works for the council is the community can vote them in and out, and they effectively function as being directly accountable to the community. On top of that, we are kind of, I hope everyone understands, like this call isn't just because of what happened with mistX. We're very much kind of looking to have, and it was actually announced before anyone really knew about it. We want to have these, regular community calls every 2 weeks, so that we, I think a big part of accountability is being able to voice your concerns, and that's what this is about as well. So I don't know if that answers the question now, but yeah, that's kind of my how I see things.
Yeah, I would also like to add a little bit of color on that. So this kind of movement from no structure at the kind of Alchemist level, where early members were all helping all the initial products succeed, kind of just ran into some problems, right? With kind of a lack of clarity on who was accountable for what. So this change in direction towards empowering products to do their own thing and ultimately be accountable to the council, it also empowers products to decide what is strategically important for them and at what time. Like, do you need developers to get an MVP out, or do you need a marketer, or do you need any other resource? Well, now you have a budget and you can control your destiny. If you're blocked because you don't have access to some resource, you can go ahead and prioritize part of your budget to go into the direction that you feel is most important to you, without having to reach out to the kind of like some central entity within Alchemist and ask for a resource, or ask for help with design. You kind of you make your own decisions, whether it's marketing, developers, or whatever it may be. So I mean, that accountability is now shifted to within the team, and it solves a lot of problems where maybe people outside of a product might have different opinions as to what is necessary for it to succeed. Well, when that happens, that might result in paralysis at the product level. So ultimately, at the product level, you have the product team itself be in charge of its destiny, and that solves that problem. And then, as Sal mentioned, at the community level, the community department will essentially be responsible for a similar way of structuring things, where they decide what is most important for the community, and they are also then accountable to the council. So I think it really, like, this new restructure, yeah, there is no traditional leadership structure like in companies with the CEO or whatever, but ultimately it's a delegation of power from the community to a few individuals that make running this thing and growing it more efficient.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. This sounds definitely reasonable. For one part, and yeah, I just wish you guys all the success you deserve, and I hope we will all succeed together. Thanks.
Thank you for your questions.
I just added Hazelnut because you had you are part of the mistX team, so I thought you requested to speak. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hey guys. I just wanted to, come up on the stage, with everyone. No, I'm kidding. To be honest, someone mentioned, I think it was in the previous question, regarding marketing. And I think it was mentioned earlier as well, but I thought I'd just take the opportunity to just give a quick brief over how things have been happening and where we are right now. Obviously, mistX. I'm now taking a lead on marketing with mistX. I joined quite recently, and I believe Sausage Crypto as well has joined Copper as marketing sort of lead for their team as well. I think that was like a good sort of decision in terms of direction. Things are with marketing. When marketing, one of my favorite phrases, and it triggers me a lot when I hear that. But there's a lot of work happening. Trust me. Marketing isn't I know it sounds sad, but unfortunately it's not a switch of a button. It's not just something you switch on, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You need to put a strategy together. You need to make sure you're heading in the right direction. You need to make sure you're in line with the product. And when you align all of those things, you will eventually see the fruits of it. And we've done some good work in the past, but we're still getting started. So on that, I definitely want to hear from the community. I'm going to try and start a process where I can involve the community in assisting with marketing, whether it be through thoughts or just ideas or feedback, or even producing content or whatever. So I'm going to just stay tuned, and I'm going to be putting out some stuff, most probably in the mistX marketing channel, or on the sort of general channels as well, where I'll be sharing thoughts and ideas. And I'd love to hear from the community and get feedback, and take that on and integrate that into our overall strategy. So so stay tuned for that, and hopefully we're going to see some good things coming up.
I also want to quickly add to that. Thanks for speaking up on that, Hazelnut. So on the copper front, like adding a dedicated marketing resource has also really been a night and day change. And I just want to say that I maybe you guys have also noticed in the way we communicate and post things now, but it's there's definitely a lot of work happening, and having kind of like the access to hire a marketer if you need it, or kind of navigate a resource question independently from teams yields great benefits. So yeah, I'm really excited to have Sausage Crypto on board, and he's already started the process and done an amazing job there.
Awesome stuff, all. I'm aware that this has become kind of a general Q&A, and I don't want to cut things too short, but we do have kind of updates from Crucible and Copper as well to go through. So I'll put a kind of a last shout out if there are any more questions kind of that someone wants to ask, if they can maybe kind of request to speak now. Otherwise, we can actually move on to hopefully more positive vibes with the Copper and Crucible product updates, and also maybe some Q&A around that. So yeah, does that sound good to everyone on the stage currently? And yeah, does anyone want to kind of, if anyone wants to request to speak, please do so now. Okay, so no one's kind of requested to speak, so I'll just take that as I'll just assume that there are no questions for the time being. Uri and Joe, do you guys want to move on to your product updates, and then maybe we can have a bit of questions at the end as well?
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. So I think a lot of people know here I'm Joe, and I represent the Crucible team. So I'm the PM of the Crucible team. And I just want to give you a bit of an insight to how this structure change affects our team, and the changes that we've been making and what we're working towards. So first of all, prior to the budget approach which we had, our builders were paid a stipend which was effectively decided by seniors to some degree, and their participation in the project, and people were their level of dedication was kind of free to make their own contributions in a way that they could come and go, and it caused a lot of uncertainty for the direction that Crucible would go, and for what we were building on. I do believe as a team that we've been actually extremely productive, and we've managed to achieve a lot of things, and we have a lot of things in the pipeline, but this new structure, which has given our team a budget and an ability to choose the services that we want to use. So whether we wanted to incorporate our own business development people, or have marketing people in the team, or employ or cut down on particular members' participation for trying to create a more efficient and more purposeful way of working with a vision, is really empowered us to have like a very aligned goal for achieving success as a product, and returning that success back to the community. So right now the the team is fully accountable for the success of Crucible or its failure, and that has really changed the motivation to the direction that we're taking. Really, so I think it's a very good alignment, the new structure, and I do think it really complements all of the issues that we've had in the past, and adds to the value that we're hoping to return to everyone, and even to the benefit of the team members as well. So one of the things that we've done, so as you have all been aware, there was an NFT team and they were creating the artwork, and we had a Crucible main team which were responsible for the front end, we've now merged those two teams together to create a development and a creative team. And what we aim to do with that is to have a lot of synergies, how we can work together in creating a lot more value to Crucible, and being able to collaborate together in a way that takes the value of the creative individuals in the team, to be able to put those efforts towards whether it's marketing, design, or other aspects. I think that everyone in the team actually very much complements the kind of stuff that we want to do, and also allows us to efficiently, spend that kind of budget that we have to bring on more resources in order to further accelerate our activities. So we have added a dedicated biz dev person who's actively looking to establish partnerships or collaborations with other projects, and bring on a lot of projects to bring reward programs through Crucible, and also to bring other kind of aspects to Crucible, which I'm sure you guys will be looking forward to in the future, and that's been going very, very well. This has been a structure that's been put in place only very, very recently, and it's really given us an opportunity to shape things up on that side. So Crucible, in the immediate short term, we're looking to release the artwork that everyone's been very much excited to have this month, and having the teams, the front end developers and back end and the creative team to work together very, very efficiently to get this done has allowed us to accelerate that process as well. That will also bring about some interesting changes to how we have a gated community right now, which is reliant on specific requirements in order to obtain a Crucible. So some of that will be changing. None of that will remove value to you guys who've already minted Crucibles through the process that already exists. But we want to create adoption and to focus on growing our community and giving the value of what Crucible is about back to DeFi users, and empowering us to accelerate in our growth. So revenue is going to be built into that idea. So we're hoping to bring something that will add revenue this month as well. I don't want to go into specific details because we are still working on the finer aspects to that, but it will be something that will be released this month, and we hope to return value back to Aladel participants and Crucible holders as well. So there are some people who have left the Aladel, but that aspect, who remain to be Crucible holders, we do want to include them to some degree, and we have a way that doesn't affect this 50% of revenue which has been agreed through the fractal to be returned to the Aladel, but instead adds further value to give other people an opportunity, whether they are currently in Aladel 1.5 or they've left, to be able to have some added benefits for having a Crucible as well. In terms of what we're focusing on in the future, so it's been mentioned a few times that we're looking to, or we're actively working on the next iteration of Crucible, and it's going to bring a lot of functionality and a lot of ability to have more projects involved with us, and to be a more widely adopted product as well. So adoption here is key, but obviously through this new accountability to obviously be responsible to the council and to be able to have to really sell back to the Alchemist community that our product is worth the investment, or we have managed to separate ourselves from the dependency of inflation and generate enough revenue. I do believe, excuse me, sorry. I do believe a lot of the decisions that we're making in a product approach and what we're adding to the Crucible side will have that very much in mind to generate value back to the community while giving a better product. So I know that this sounds very general, but I do have. The team is actively working on a roadmap now that we have. These two departments, we have leads to the departments which are involved in this as well. And they are still, as I said, settling into their positions and trying to organize things in the best and most efficient way possible. And as we come closer to formalizing our roadmap, then I'll be happy to share maybe short-term information, because I think the value proposition of Crucible is that we're able to innovate on things which have not been thought of in the space. And obviously we have to protect, our ideas to some degree, but we'll also try to share with you as much as we can there. So that's an update really from Crucible at a high level. But I do believe that there's going to be a lot of interesting developments in the space, and I do hope that you can see the value in this restructure, which allows us to improve in what we're doing. I would say that there is actually still a space to be filled in Crucible. So I know this is a bit of an interesting time to take a moment to kind of promote this, but we are actively looking for someone to lead marketing efforts in the Crucible team. We are a team of 8 people, including myself. So that's across the two teams within Crucible. And there is a lot of skill involved of the people who are involved, who could also complement those marketing efforts and what have you. So if you believe that you could add value to what we're doing and represent Crucible and help us to achieve the goals for the Crucible team and the community and the Alchemist project, please reach out and let us know what you can do. And would love to have someone join us in the very short term in order for us to get on with the plan that we're trying to create. I know it's been a very interesting concept that the only plan is there is no plan, but now that we're effectively independent projects, we have to be safeguarding our future and the future of the community as well. So we're in full alignment with you all, and we're going to make sure that you guys really see that in the upcoming months.
Thanks for an amazing update, Joe. Ria, I don't know how you feel about just on time. Is it okay if we take some questions now for Crucible, or do you want to kind of give you an update and then we can do combined questions at the end?
Definitely open to either. Not really rushed. I'm here for the call.
Awesome. So I think it makes sense to have some questions for the Crucible team and Joe. So if anyone wants to kind of ask anything, please request to speak. I can also, if you don't want to speak, I can read out your questions in Alchemy channel if you just tag me. No questions for Crucible.
I think someone's asked if there's a limit number to Crucibles. So I will jump right into that question. So as long as Crucible V1 exists, because as Crucible as a product is meant to solve an issue in the DeFi space. So effectively, stopping minting that product would mean that we'd be closing the door to other projects to raise reward programs within the Crucible project itself, and that would kind of prevent us from progressing. To to actually counter that, we do have plans to release V2 Crucible as soon as possible. I don't want to give a specific timeline. I think that would be a wrong thing for me to say right now, because there are a few unknowns which we're still dealing with. But as soon as V2 is out, V1 Crucibles will no longer get any further artwork, so minting them would have no benefit. So effectively, you could consider that as minting stopping for V1, and we would be withdrawing the ability to mint the V1 Crucible through the front end as well. And the artwork which you're going to receive in the near future is limited to Crucible V1, so it's more exclusive to Crucible V1. We don't know how many Crucibles are going to be minted by the time Crucible V2 has been released, but I don't see it being too far down the line. So I know there might be, I mean, it's a great piece of artwork, very, very unique, very, very special. I do think that you guys will love it, and people from outside as well would love to have a Crucible. But you know, the Crucible as a product and as a functioning item is, you know, I believe anyway integral to be adopted in the Ethereum space for its unique benefits. So it would be a shame to cut it off in that respect. I hope that answered the question.
Joe, I think there's a few more questions out there.
Yeah, I'm just seeing them now. Okay, so new version, as I've mentioned, so I think we can skip that one. More perks to be considered beside the 10x multiplier. There are a lot of thoughts about how we could potentially gamify Crucibles, well, not Crucibles, but the reward programs themselves. We haven't made any concrete decisions. I do think that it would be part of the planning for the new dev lead team, and we've actually formed a strategic team in Crucible as well. So we'll be working actively to think about how we could, or to agree on actually our ideas to push forward on those. But there have been some thoughts about how we could gamify, and I do believe that could be considered as a perk. Layer 2, so Crucible, yeah, we're actively exploring Layer 2 and sidechains. So definitely something that we want to be involved in the future, or established on in the future. There will be some limitations to how Crucibles could be used on there. So I don't currently see a solution which would allow us to port over, for example, a Crucible from L1 to L2 and be able to retain assets and locking mechanisms and what have you in a safe way that guarantees the contents get transferred across. So there are a lot of challenges there. This is still, you know, if you think about how long L2s have been around and how long projects have actually been building on those, there's still very limited abilities there. But as an independent, possibly an independent Crucible set up on another chain, which has its own reward programs and other aspects, I do think that that's a very feasible approach, and could be something that could be coming in the very near future. How the art will benefit Crucible holders, and especially if there are any benefits or plans to reward those who minted early. And thanks, yeah, thank you very much for the kind words, Edsmadog. So yes, we have tried to take into consideration as much as possible people who've minted earlier, to give them some added kind of added value. I can't really say, so really to say financial value to Crucible is really just speculation at this time. But I would say to add value to the presentation of the artwork, or you know, how the artwork can be perceived, I would say absolutely. We've tried to be as mindful as possible to take that into consideration, but you know, to give some extra perk to earlier Crucible minters. But at the same time, we do, the Crucible itself is designed to be almost evolving based on your activity. And, people who have been staking the longest and who've, potentially staked a larger value without too much weight difference, by the way. So we wanted to try and make it as fair as possible to some degree. But the tier system or the acceleration between levels, I would call them levels. You guys will understand this a bit better once you've got the artwork in your hands. It does also change how the artwork may look or be presented. So, there is that in mind. There are other aspects as well that we've taken into consideration. So I do think we're trying to think of everyone and, and try to find a way to reward people who've really been with us the longest and on this journey with us. Is there a minimum? So I'm going to try and maybe take 2 more questions because I don't want to hold this up too long. So is there a minimum LP required to mint a Crucible? So right now there isn't really a minimum. I think you guys probably already aware that the LP token has 18 decimals. So if you want to go that far, you could mint a Crucible potentially with 0.000, all the way down to 0.1 of an LP. Obviously, bear in mind that 0.0001 of an LP is probably around 30 cents or less than that. So where that value comes from of creating the LP and effectively get subscribed when you mint the Crucible, I think that it's obviously to your discretion, but I would say maybe consider being part of Aladel V1.5. I really believe in the in the Alchemist umbrella that we have, or the incubator that we have, that there will be a lot of value returned to LP holders in the Aladel V1.5, and this is really what our goal is as a project, to return value back to everyone who invests in us. And it's a community project, so we all kind of invested in this. So it would be a shame not to try and take benefit in there and mint maybe a larger LP. And the last one I said, option to add rewards with more LP into existing locked LP without losing multiplier. So this is a problem that might create an issue of unfair advantage. So there has been some thoughts about, and I think this is something that the community requested, about potentially withdrawing rewards without losing your position or multiplier. There is a lot of logic that has to change in our Aladels and what have you. We have been thinking actively about how we can do this and also improve the contracts. It would mean that a new reward program would have to come out, and Aladel V1.5, for example, which hasn't got the most creative name, I think would probably take a different stance on how we choose the names in the future, would have to be replaced, and that means everyone to unsubscribe, gas costs, resubscribe to the new program, and what have you. So it's definitely something that's we've actually played around with a little bit and made some prototypes, but I wouldn't say necessarily that we have anything concrete to suggest that we're going towards, but we're definitely actively playing on that role. So again, sorry if anyone else has any other questions for Crucible, but I'm going to hand it over back to Sal to maybe pass it back to Ree once he's ready. But thank you very much, everyone, for your questions.
Yeah, thank you for your detailed answers. And yeah, Ree, over to you, I guess, for the copper update.
Thank you, Sal, and awesome updates, Joe. Really excited about what's coming in the next few weeks. So on the copper front, I'll just kind of take it back to September. So in September, we released the V2 of copper. We've seen really massive success since then in the utilization of the platform, starting with the Klima launch and the Cyber Tooth Cat drop. and then also the Grow launch, and most recently the $100 million raise by the Merit Circle project. So in the span of a month or 2 months, we've basically validated the use case for LBPs as being a very successful fundraising mechanism. And I can only say that this is only the beginning, and we intend to push Copper even further and make it like the standard for launching new projects. So once V2 launch and we had this early success, like at that time it was really only me and one other team member as full-time contributors, and we had a few others as part-time contributors. So that was pretty hectic time because it was hard to gain certainty as to what would be the contributions from team members, like day to day and even week to week, because of their other responsibilities. So they're mostly doing Alchemist part-time. And once V2 launched, just kind of presented to the team and that going forward, I at least on the developer front want to require everybody to be full-time contributors. And fortunately was able to convince 3 of them to join the team full-time, so Pablo, Seth, and Akib. And that was a big step, I think, in kind of taking Copper to the next level beyond just kind of a part-time contributors project, and really getting the dedication of those individuals has really kind of solidified and helped us iterate on features much quicker. And in addition to that, we then hired Sausage Crypto to do marketing full-time, and also Pizza King to do full-time biz dev, and we still have a part-time designer, Ruth, also known as Cryptofish, who's been doing incredible work. And so yeah, really kind of building out that team post V2 launch has helped quite a bit, and then adding new features quickly. And since September, we've been able to make a bunch of iterations on improving the UX for auction creation, for trading, and the chart. But most importantly, in order to make the permissionless nature of the platform feasible going forward in a way that both protects users and also surfaces quality projects, we've developed a discovery feature that enables the curation of auctions by third parties as curated lists. Personally, very excited about this feature. I think it will open up that space quite a bit and enable third parties to specialize in all kinds of directions. Like maybe you could choose to curate, pure fair launches and have some criteria that you utilize to determine that. Maybe it's all about focusing on what are quality teams. Maybe it's focusing on DAOs or on team or on projects that are like innovating in the DAO space or the NFT space. So it really opens it up quite a bit, and it will be extremely important as we get more and more launches to have this feature, because it will be difficult to filter through what could be noisy projects or kind of lower quality or copycats. So this should solve that issue. And for the MVP there, we partnered with Balancer Intern, who's a pretty well-respected community member within Balancer, passionate about LBPs and kind of curating them. So this guy, basically, while we took the auction list down to rework it and built out the discovery feature, in that time, like seemingly out of nowhere, he came up with a product called lbplaunches.com, where he essentially started implementing what we were going to build out on this curated lists feature. So then when we saw that as the perfect opportunity to invite him as the first auction curator on the platform. And in this MVP stage, this process is kind of manual on our part, and to empower him, our assistance is necessary. Going forward, though, we will make it open to any third party to participate, and then so that should enable a bunch of these other use cases that I described above. So excited about this feature. Other developments are we negotiated with Balancer, a system where we get access to BAL rewards for projects that move liquidity to Balancer through and then house a rewards program within the Crucible for it. So basically, any project that launches on Copper and then keeps their liquidity on Balancer afterwards can benefit from this. So we're hoping, Joe and I are hoping this this yields some benefits for the Crucible team. I'm really excited about this. The other thing is that we're now looking to bring in L2 support, and as you all know, we're launching with Polygon on the 22nd, and launching with a project that will do an LBP on that date. Yeah, we really think L2s will be a big part of empowering a wider market to participate in these early stage investment opportunities on Copper. Right now, gas fees are quite ridiculous, so often get very surprised people who hear about Copper, through I don't know other channels, and then they come in, and then they're noobs to the space, so they try to participate, and then they're faced with a $140 transaction when they're trying to buy in for like $50. So it's been, I think, disheartening for many to be faced with this, and I think L2s will go a long way towards solving this and bringing even more people to the platform, increasing our volume. The other thing we're working on right now is so we've just enabled as a point to adding utility to Mist. We've enabled we're about to enable Mist as collateral and a currency on Copper. In preparation for it, we've created an 80-20 Mist WETH pool on Balancer, and the community, that passed the community vote before we went ahead with that. So very soon, within the next few days, you guys will see a Mist as both a collateral and a currency option on Copper. And we're also working with other, with facilitating other collaterals as being enabled on the platform in a strategic fashion. So hopefully we'll have more developments on that, or more updates on that in the near future. And let's see what else. So yeah, and there have been quite a number of questions regarding fees on Copper and how Copper will drive utility to Mist on that front. So as you've probably noticed, there was a fee section on auctions, and that fee section was set by projects, by the projects themselves, to collect fees on volume traded on an LBP. And I guess at this MVP stage that we started off the product on, we just wanted to illustrate what would be possible if Copper itself were to collect those fees. So we just wanted to highlight that, look, this is value that is now going to the individual launches, and they're not even expecting it to come to them because they're just focused on the race. But then there's also this often significant amounts that are generated just purely on swap fees coming from volume during the raise itself. So yeah, going forward, we will enable a form of fee collection on Copper that will feed back into the Alchemist community, and that's been in the works. It's not something that you can just flip on and very quickly, and we've been working on the smart contracts on that front. So hoping to have this implemented quite soon, and yeah, really looking forward to taking this thing to the next level. A lot of exciting ideas on the horizon that I'm not going to mention all of them, just because yeah, there's unknowns and there's sensitive things as well that are being worked out. I'm happy to answer any questions.
We have BLP's put his hand up to speak, so I'll invite him. And we also had a couple, I think, in the Alchemy channel, but I'm not sure. Maybe you answered some of them already. So yeah, BLP, I'm going to invite you now. Just please accept the invite so that you can speak.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I had a quick question about those fees. I understand initially the fees not being captured as sort of an incentive for the projects to use the platform. But if they didn't expect to receive them in the first place, then once the fee shift is turned on, why would Alchemist only be getting, or Copper only be getting 50% rather than the whole 100%? Thank you.
So I think maybe you have a misunderstanding on kind of what is meant by that 50%. So all revenue that will be collected through those fees will then be kind of broken up according to the model that was voted on, I believe, a couple of months ago for a core community vote, and that was like 50% would go to the team, 40%.
I recall that. Okay, so you're saying we're going to get the fees now, but only 50% will go to the Loodle program. The rest will be distributed as was voted on.
Yeah, exactly. And
Cool.
you know, there might be some technical limitations as to kind of like what is the total amount of those fees relative to what the teams are currently collecting, but it will be still quite sizable.
Great. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Nice stuff. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking in the Alchemy channel. Yeah, I don't really. Oh yeah, there was a question about Mist as collateral. So yeah, soon. In terms of the effect on the Mist token, it really depends on adoption of that of launching using Mist and also paying using Mist. If projects that are aligned with Alchemist start launching and utilizing Mist as collateral, that could lock up Mist in those launches, and then they might choose to keep a portion of it in their treasury. There might be a period of more volatility, but it will hopefully result in more utility and kind of like more Mist locked up. And for if now that there's this balancer pool with Mist, token holders that deposit liquidity in that pool will benefit from fees that are generated on that liquidity pool. So if utilization of Mist as collateral in the currency becomes a thing, we expect a pretty substantial amount of fees on that balancer pool, and it is also an 80-20 weighted pool, which limits the impact of impermanent loss as kind of MIST token goes up in price. So yeah, it's a way to like still be bullish on the token, benefit from the fees on that liquidity pool, and hopefully adoption of MIST as collateral or currency on Copper by users will also have a positive impact there.
Thanks. Just before you answer more text questions, CTK's Sabatith Cat has requested to speak, so Sabatith, I'm going to invite you now, and just please accept the invitation.
Hey there, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So, hey everybody, it's good to see all your faces, as it were, and super glad that that we're having this call. I just personally wanted to thank everyone on the team. You know, the drop on Copper was literally life changing for me in a number of ways, and it has opened up hundreds of unique opportunities. And for anyone that doesn't know, you know, I was in the Chaos Lab saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing a drop. And Ree and the team actually came to me and said, hey, would you consider Copper? And I said, of course I would. And they said, would you consider giving some back? And I said, I already know that I'm going to give a bunch back. And they said, cool, let us walk you through this process, because, you know, I was newer to crypto. And the the level of just, you know, help and camaraderie to make that launch a success was world class. And like I say, it changed everything for me, not only in the space, but in a number of ways, and has opened up a bunch of new opportunities. And so thank you to all of you for that. So I'm really excited about, in particular, that platform going forward. And if you've seen some of the stuff I'm doing on the Book of Alchemy Discord right now, I'm actually introducing some L2 things. And this even has Polygon's attention, is what some people are telling me. And it's been going actually well. It kind of launched just yesterday or the day before, and it's been going well. But the idea was to, because gas is so insane, way more insane than it was when I did my drop on Copper, you know, to mint 40 NFTs on Copper, and Alchemist helped me out a little bit with this. And of course, they got it all back at the end of the drop. But I said, I don't have the upfront liquidity, and Ree said, we'll front you a little and we'll get it back on the back end. And they did. But without that help, I couldn't have done it. And now gas is way, way worse. And I've got another drop coming up in 1 week from today, this Betty Boa drop, which has 222 NFTs in it. I can't even consider Copper. I just can't, because of the fees and where gas is at and all that upfront stuff, you know. And I don't have, God bless Chico, I don't have him sort of pumping this new drop of mine, you know. So I'm like, okay, I can't bring really Betty Boa to Copper. But with L2 coming, that's something that I'm very, very excited about for the platform, because I'm experimenting with it right now on some smaller scale stuff on Book of Alchemy Discord. And it's a really great tool for when you get into this situation where, you know, gas just becomes this big inhibitor. So I just want to encourage everyone listening, pay attention to what's happening with layer 2 on Copper. That's probably bigger than you think it is. It's probably way more strategic and more significant than you can imagine it is. It's a big step forward in positioning that platform for super long-term success. And, you know, I'd like to encourage you all to kind of keep your eye on that. Ask Ree questions, you know, let's talk about it in the Discord and stuff. And let's start planning now, because I think I was told maybe right after the first of the year, maybe even second or third month. And I know Alchemist doesn't make forward-facing statements, and that's fine. But just as a general window, you know, 4 or 5 months from now, the level of NFTs and drops and things that we could do on Copper can just be exponentially more people that are being drawn to the platform. So I want to thank the team for that. I'm looking forward to potentially doing the second Book of Alchemy drop, Metals and Monsters, on L2 on Copper. That's kind of what I got my eye on. I'm kind of looking for that window to come. And of course, we'll be giving a bunch back to the community from that as well. But I just wanted to sort of give you how excited I am about that, and really thank the team for being sort of forward focused on that stuff and looking forward to it. And I know we've had, you know, an interesting week, more or less, with the token and things like that. But I still think we have the best team in crypto. I don't think anything has changed on that. I think we're learning absolutely from, you know, just call them mistakes or just unexpected things is really what I call them. But that can be a really healthy process. And I would like to encourage the team and the community, let's just stay in communication with one another, because I don't see all this as a super negative thing. I just see it as a resetting and a refocusing where we learn a bunch of wonderful things, and can't wait to see what's coming going forward. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate all the kind words on that front, CTK, and it was honestly an awesome experience to work with you on that drop. Like, obviously, a lot of also lessons learned. Really happy it opened up a lot of things for you. But it was, you embarked on it, on an experiment with us, also not knowing what the conclusion would be there. Pretty sure that was the first kind of NFT drop via LDPs, and we've learned a lot from it. So yeah, I think on our roadmap we definitely have a plan for figuring out how to further refine it and also bring it to L2s in order to enable that use case. But it will take some time. Yeah, there's a number of things that we first need to work through. I do hope sometime early next year we'll see NFT drops through Copper on L2s as a game changer for how drops are conducted.
It's awesome. Thanks, guys. I'm waiting. I'm ready. So great work.
Awesome stuff. We had a couple of questions in the Alchemy channel. I'll just read them out to you. The first one you may have answered: when is the 80-20 balancer pool expected to be created for holders to contribute to? That's the first one. And the second one is, will these LPs be able to receive Aludel rewards in the Crucible? I think the first question is maybe something you can answer directly, and the second one might need some input from the rest of us. But yeah.
Yeah. So on the first question, the balancer pool is created. We have an announcement incoming. Once we were going to announce, the address once we added the collateral option. I think I did also post a link to the pool in maybe the Copper help channel. I can drop it in here again. So it's you can interact with it, but right now it's obviously not getting too much utility. Because it's not enabled as collateral, and yeah, in terms of Aludel rewards, so I won't comment on the full aspect of that, but did talk to the balancer team about incentivizing this pool potentially with BAL rewards, and on their front, I think kind of the answer was that if they see that this pool is getting solid traction and engagement, and the community is also participating in it. Right now, it's solely bootstrapped by the multisig, but if they see that there is demand from the community, maybe we can negotiate BAL rewards for this pool, and in that case, yeah, very likely we would do it through a rewards program on the Crucible. But that is a big kind of if. Like we'll see. So this is also like an experiment. We'll see how this goes. We'll see what the adoption is. But in terms of like impermanent loss, there's not much to lose by if you have spare mist that is just lying there. You could very well join this pool, and the downside is limited. It's still, there's still some on it, but it's very much limited. And you can in the community vote that we had on starting this pool, you can view more details about kind of like how it protects against that impermanent loss or how it reduces it, and run the analysis yourself, and if you're comfortable with it, join it.
I think I'll add in terms of, maybe this, I'm not sure if this was what the questioner was intending, but in terms of like actual inflation rewards being redirected to that pool, I guess that would be something that the community would have to vote on under this whole new structure. So yeah, I think it's really awesome that I think Gary is working with Balancer to try and get some incentivization. And yeah, Joe, feel free to comment as well, and anyone else. But as far as I'm aware, that kind of getting Crucible, inflation or even revenue share rewards put into that other pool would probably kind of need something, need the community to kind of collectively decide if that's a decision they wanted to take, because that would naturally take rewards away from the Uniswap pool, because you'd have to split it between the two. So yeah, not to say it's a bad or good idea, just that it would probably need some form of community involvement.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That's it on the Copper front. Really excited about what all teams are about to bring forth within the next few months, and happy to keep having these community calls. I think it's a important change, and just hearing everybody's concerns in real time will be super helpful for everyone.
Awesome. Unless anyone else on stage or has something to say, or there's any questions, I guess I opened the call, so I'll kind of close it as well. Just a closing statement from me. I hope everyone recognizes that this is a genuine step towards us opening up, and with our new structure and the kind of stuff I spoke about initially, we definitely do want to start making this much more community focused and less kind of closed and aloof, as some of you have described. We all read and try to keep track of what you say, and even though we might not comment all the time, it doesn't mean we're not aware of it. I also hope that everyone recognizes that under this new structure, Alchemist will not be about one product. It's about building as many amazing and successful products as possible. Along that path, some may fail, some may succeed. That's a natural part of being an incubator. But having that, I'd say, courage to invest and maybe fail and move on is the only way to discover those amazing ideas that do become long lasting and have a real impact. So yeah, there is a risk to being an incubator, but there's also great reward. And hopefully these updates, I think it's quite good that we kind of ended with the Crucible and the Copper updates, just so everyone we can end on a positive note, and also recognize that it's not just one project. Although mistX is significant and hopefully will continue to innovate going forward. We are, Alchemist is at its core becoming an incubator, a community incubator, I guess, and you guys will be much more involved in that, and hopefully we can all see the value that brings. Those are my kind of closing thoughts. I'll just put out a last kind of PSA. If anyone has a question or anything you want to say, please let us know by either tagging me in the Alchemy channel or just requesting to speak. Otherwise, I guess quite a long call, but I guess we're done. If no one else wants to add anything. Nope. Okay. I guess this is goodbye for 2 weeks until our next community call. So yeah, thank you to everyone for attending. Thanks to the PMs and the other seniors for being up here and answering the questions. And yeah, we look forward to implementing what we spoke about and really changing how things work.
Thanks everyone for joining us, and looking forward to the next one.
Goodbye.
Same. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Thank you very much.